Hello again, chess fans, and welcome back to the show. My name is Loner Druid, and this is The Next Move. So today we will continue lesson 3 in the Development Instructor course, and it's all about opening principles. So what you'll see, what I did with opening principles is that I have broken it up into two categories. I have your do's and your don'ts. So the first three will be your do's. So our first position, we just have a normal chessboard, and all I want to kind of show you is, all three of these things in context. Okay, so what we want to do is we want to control the center, we want to develop our minor pieces, and we want to get our king to safety by castling. So if life was great, let's just do something like this. Then this is what we would want for our position. Something like this. This would be fantastic. Okay, so obviously, because now we have all our minor pieces out, we've castled our king, and we control the center as well. If we want to take this one step further, we could also go and put our rooks in the middle as well. Get the queen in there. Maybe something like this. This would be optimal. Okay, but of course, black is not just going to move his knight up and down, so this is not going to happen. But this is what we strive for. Okay. Now, next position. We're basically looking at just what a normal position would look like. Okay, so let's say we play e4. Obviously e4, we control this square and we attack that one. Okay, our opponent, let's say, plays e5. He does the same, just the counter color square. We attack his pawn. So this knight now attacks here and also attacks the central square. Good move. Black plays knight c6 to defend his pawn and also counterattack on the square. Let's say we play bishop c4. In this case, this bishop would be attacking the central square and also attacks this pawn, which is on the beginning of the game the weakest pawn of the bunch. Why? Because the only thing defending it is the king, and of course we know that we want our king to be safe, not out in the middle, out and about. So let's say black plays bishop c5, attacking the center and doing the same, attacking your f2 pawn. We get our king to safety by castling. He gets his knight out, attacking our pawn. We get our knight out, defending our pawn. So again, we have this idea. These pieces attacking these squares in the middle. He finally gets his king to safety. And let's say we play d3 because we want to get this piece out next. He plays d6 again. And now, obviously, let's say we could play something like this. Okay. Be careful now because there is some cheapy threats here with ideas of like this. So, but here things get interesting. So we could play something like, let's say, bishop there, defending the d5 square. So things get complicated now. But now you can see that we have all our minor pieces out. We have also castled our king. Same with black. Minor pieces are all out. And he's castled his king. Basic concept. Try and control as much of the center as you can. Develop your minor pieces, castle the king. Most of you already know this. This is probably the first thing you hear when people talk about openings. Okay. Next position, we're just going to look at a couple of normal openings, the standard stuff that you see or hear about all the time, and just show you how they adhere to the opening principles. So, in our next example, we're going to use a d4 game just to throw it up a little. Let's say knight f6. So we're going to look at the king's Indian defense, which is a very common opening for black against d4. So white trying to control some central squares. Okay, black does a sneaky job here as well of doing the same, of defending this square with his knight and also with this one. So it makes it a little bit harder for you to just put anything there because the knight is attacking central squares. So g6 is fine because he wants to bring out his bishop, fianchetto. Knight c3, again, focusing on controlling the center. Bishop g7, obviously trying to get his king to safety as quickly as possible. e4. Now white has this very strong center. Okay, black plays d6 just to have a bit of control over this square, because otherwise e5 could become a problem. White just continues, defends his pawn, puts more pressure in the center with his knight, and obviously develops a minor piece. Black gets his king to safety. This is all standard, by the way, guys. This is basically how the opening goes. Bishop e2, bishop comes out. The bishop doesn't want to be here because in this diagonal it really is just hitting its head against a bunch of pawns. So the bishop tends to stand here instead, with options of either going to f3 or running even to d1 and swapping around if it wants to. But in most cases, this bishop on e2 here is basically just a defending piece. Okay, we put e5 out there, just so you can quickly see. If you have a look, you can see that there is 2 attackers on e5 and there's only 1 defender, but there are some tricks in the middle here. Because white's king is still in the middle of the board, things could get messy if he's not careful. So let's just have a quick look at a line here, just so you can see if he tries to win the pawn. Take, let's say we take here. Now you're gonna have to decide what you want to take with. Let's say with a bishop. Then there's this little tricky trick shot out here as well. Okay, so now of course we want the pawn back and we're attacking his knight as well. Okay, if you try something funny like, let's say this, then we do have shots like this, and then after takes we can just take back, and we still equal, well, okay, well, we're attacking 2 pawns. Okay, so this guy and this guy is under fire now, so we should win our pawn back. And you know, white's pawn structure doesn't look great. Our king is still safe. We still have to bring out our pieces, but so does he, so it's fairly even. So it does get complicated. Okay, but in most cases white will just castle. Why? Because he's obviously already defending his pawn, so he doesn't have to worry about this. Now black continues. He has to get out his minor pieces, and from here the game gets interesting and complicated all over the show, because white has some options here. He can take the pawn, he can push d5, he can obviously just develop his bishop, but as you can see, the general concept, as per usual, is trying to develop our pieces, get our king to safety, and then we start playing around from there. Okay, that was the King's Indian. Next position, we're gonna look at the normal Sicilian. We're gonna look at a dragon Sicilian, just so you can understand again. Okay, so e4, attacking central square, defending, c5, central square, knight f3, central squares, d6. d6 is just to help with the idea of after d4 to defend the e5 square. Okay, you will see that this is also not a big problem, because this line is not an issue, because this bishop is going to go there. Okay, it's just standard line. So d4, white obviously tries to force things a little bit in the center. Black in most cases is kind of forced to take this. Knight takes, knight f6, attacking the pawn, and also obviously central square. Knight c3, defending his pawn, and obviously attacking a central square. g6, this move is made obviously so that we can get the bishop out and get our king to safety. So a standard move like bishop e2, obviously also just developing his piece. This bishop, by the way, has many places. It can go to b5, c4, d, I mean, it can go anywhere it wants to. Okay, bishop g7, obviously also creating this, so the bishop will get its pressure in the center, and of course we just want to castle. Now white goes ahead and castles, black goes ahead and castle. Let's say bishop e3, obviously developing his minor piece, and knight c6. So now we can have a quick look again. We can see that all our minor pieces are out, and we've castled our king. Same with black. He's tried to do all the same stuff, he only still needs to do his bishop. Okay, so normal opening, but again, all they did is follow the opening principles. Very, very simple. For the last example, we'll use the French. Okay, so here it's a little bit different, of course, because here black plays e6 first with d5. The e6 pawn is supposed to defend the d5 square so that we can put a little pressure in the center immediately. Okay, let's say he passes. We start attacking the pawn chain already immediately. This also gains black a little bit of space. Let's say c3, which is the usual stuff. Now you can see we have attackers here all over the show. Okay, so everything is about the center here. Knight c6, obviously again putting pressure on these central pawns. Knight f3, defending his central pawns and developing a piece. Queen b6, this is not the most common thing that you want to do, but this is in the line. Okay, first of all, there's 2 reasons why this is not a bad move. First of all, the queen puts a lot of pressure on these files and diagonals. Okay, also the queen is in no one's way. It's not in any piece's way of developing. Okay, and it's attacking, so it's a good move because it does a bunch of things and it also doesn't get in your way. Here is bishop d3, obviously just developing his piece, putting it on a nice diagonal. Getting lots of options, obviously getting ready to castle. Okay, now just in case you did see this, there is now 1, 2, 3 attackers on this pawn, and there's only 1, 2 defenders. Okay, but there's a little trick which I'll just show you. If black tries to win this pawn, thinking, hey, won me a pawn, then white has this cheap little move, discover check, where the bishop is attacking the king and the queen is now attacking your queen. Okay, so that's why you can play bishop d3. After bishop d3, we play bishop d7, obviously, now for just the idea of stopping this bishop here. And now it's up to white. White can defend the pawn, he can move his bishop away, he can take here. So he has options of this, but you can even castle as well, because there is still a lot of tricky tricks all over the show. So that's just the French defense, perfect. And that's basically it. I mean, the first 3 opening principles, the things that you want to do, is really simple. Every move that you make, as long as it complies to one of these 3 things, then it's most likely a pretty decent move. Okay, obviously there's opening orders and stuff like that, but all of those openings mostly comply with these rules. Okay, so that was the lesson 3. In our next lesson, lesson 4, we'll look at the things that you should not do in the opening. Thank you guys for watching. Please subscribe to my channel, and obviously add me as a friend on Loner Druid, or follow me on Twitter.